That music.
Okay.
We're not rock stars. We're two meteorologists. I'm Matt Huffner. This is Jamie Warner.
Hello.
We start the podcast off by loosening these ties, leaning back a little bit, talking about some weather, we got some good things.
Yeah?
We got a fireball that we're talking about. Some people may call it a UFO.
Yeah.
I think they'd be wrong, but some people may say that.
Well, no, they couldn't because it is identified.
Oh, we did identify it. So no aliens in a video that's going to be coming. But we got that. What's going on? We're talking about some tornado history.
Yeah.
Talking about the forecast because every single time I go to the grocery store, someone stops me and says, "Weatherman, when is it going to get cold? When are we going to get snow?" And I'm tired of people. Actually, I like talking weather, but it gets to the point where it's like, I've said this like 7 times. Maybe I need to say it again. But,
well, and that question has come up. When is it going to turn colder? Really, the question is, when is it going to snow again?
Yeah,
when are we going to have some winter weather? And I love winter weather. I do. I mean, I grew up in the South, so for me, it's still kind of a special thing. When we have snow or we have ice storms or whatnot. But I tell you what, it sure does make life a lot easier when you're not fighting snow, you're not fighting ice. It's not so cold that you just don't want to go outside. It's been a pretty nice winter so far.
The kids want snow, so they don't have to go to school. The parents,
they got one snow day already. They got that one Monday.
Oh, they want 2 weeks. They don't want one day. They want a whole lot of time to get out of school to have some snow events. But we got some rain also. That was something that we've been.
Matt, check it out. Okay.
Big forehead, Jamie.
Yeah.
He's giving his
giving
his forecasting powers to you.
My daughter makes fun of me for my big forehead, and it's like, she's got the same genetics I've got, so you're just actually laughing at yourself.
You need to get what I got. You get some of this hair that just curls up, and then you just
pull it down.
That kind of protects your forehead a bit when you get some of that flow. What was I saying? I got distracted by your big forehead.
Yeah.
Man, I really did lose my train of thought.
Well, we were talking about
Snow, right?
fireballs, and then we were talking about snow.
Snow, fireballs.
The desire for snow this winter.
Yeah. People want to see some snow.
Yeah.
Not this week. We
Like
did see
I said,
rain. That's where I was going. We saw rain, not snow. We finally got rain for the first time in like 7 years. It rained for once.
Yeah, it feels that way, right? I mean, looking at the rain gauge here at the station, looks like on Thursday we picked up at least a half an inch.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that much rain in one day. Just looking at the Springfield airport observations, we haven't seen that much rain in one day since the end of October.
I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've had a good rainstorm.
Second driest December ever? Second
Second driest in Springfield. It was the driest ever recorded in Joplin and Harrison. And I believe it will also go down as the driest ever recorded in West Plains. But that's a little funky because they changed the reporting site from like West Plains to Pomona, which is north of West Plains. It gets tricky.
Meteorologists get fired up about that. Yeah. There was one meteorologist in we got a group chat with a bunch of meteorologists in town in Springfield, and one of them went on a historic rant about the moving of stations. But let's talk about something cool. Let's start off with some fun video. Yeah. This is something that happened over the weekend. A meteor shower zoomed by the St. Louis Arch. There was a fireball that went down.
You couldn't have asked for like a better backdrop, right? For this to happen.
Picturesque was the term. I think, Gary, if you can't pull that video up for me of the St. Louis fireball. All right, look at this. Look to the north. That is not a UFO. That is not an alien. We have already settled this. We have identified what this is. That was a meteor from I can never pronounce this. The quadratic formula meteor shower.
That's a different thing.
The quadratic formula meteor shower is what quadrantid is, I believe.
Quadrantids, yes. It actually, what's interesting about the quadrantids too? It's a relatively new meteor shower, and the background material that is generating the meteors in the meteor shower is from an asteroid that was discovered back in 2003.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when you're talking astrology, you're talking about, this is relatively new. It's been around the last 10 million years. You're like, brand new, guys. But it just came out right off the press.
Yeah.
But this is one of the shortest. I wrote an article on this.
Very quick burst.
It's a very short burst. You really have such a short window of time. People watching, I think your opportunity to see this has gone. There's going to be a handful of other meteor showers throughout the year. We'll let you know when they're coming. But this is very famous for having a intense, powerful, but short peak. That's what moved in. And
with more numerous fireballs than you typically get with some of these meteor showers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lady that called in to the station on, I think, either Thursday or Friday. And she was saying, I saw something race against the sky. I want to talk to a weather person. I want them to tell me what it is. I'm like, well, it's either an airplane, ma'am, or it's going to be one of these meteors. I was not there. I don't know which one it was. But some people in Springfield were able to see these. And anytime you get these meteor showers, we'll have a lot throughout the year. You want to go at night. You want to get away from city lights.
Yeah. With something like that, though, even if you're in town, you're going to see a fireball.
Yeah.
Because it's just so big, so bright. And they're very rare to see. In my life, and I've been watching the sky for half a century. Well, maybe not quite half a century. I was a baby at one point, so I wasn't doing it then. But I've only seen 2 fireballs.
Okay.
And they're actually called, so the common term is fireball, but the scientific term would be bolide.
Okay.
And so I've only seen 2 in my life. So just to give you like how special it is to see something like that with your eyes.
A bolide. You're teaching me something. Bolide. Mm-hmm. Did not know that. Bolide. Yeah, let's get one more look at this. It looks like it's going to smack right into the arch.
Yeah, I know. You could not have asked for better timing, better backdrop than what we've got in that video right there. Is this AI generated?
No,
Are we certain that this is real, Matt?
Are you? This is by EarthCam, WeatherCam technology. All right, do not discredit them. The lovely people for letting us use this video.
There's some A's in that title, but I don't see any I's. So.
I have seen some AI generated stuff where when it's AI, it makes it look like there's 100 meteors. Racing by.
Well, you say but I mean it's gotten so good that it's getting very hard to tell. In fact, they make us. There is some training that we have to kind of go through yearly to update our awareness of like AI generated images, so that we're not, basically we're not hoaxed on stuff.
I would recommend, if anyone is watching and they're younger, get your parents, get your grandparents, and go on YouTube and look at videos where it's like half AI, half real video. Yeah. And you have to say, okay, that one's fake, that one's real. Train the elderly up on this, because I'm not going to call out names, but I get on Facebook sometimes, and there's people that are the fakest AI-generated videos I've ever seen. Are like, can you believe that this happened? I go, no, I cannot, because it's not real. How do you not know that that's AI?
Yeah.
I'm starting to rant.
Yeah. Well, I've got a granddaughter, and sometimes, she will see videos, and she believes that these videos are real, and we have to point out that, no, these are not real.
Yeah.
Let's talk about That's a totally different topic. That's a soapbox that we could get on and go on for hours probably, but
let's talk about something that is real.
Mm-hmm.
We had that tornado threat on Thursday.
Yeah,
but
you actually you had to do some coverage for half an hour.
Yeah, that was fun.
Up in Osceola is where that warning was.
Driving into work.
Yeah.
As soon as I get into work, there's a tornado warning. Yeah. All right, time to break in. Yeah. All right, people.
And we haven't had one. It's probably been, I think since at least October. Since we've had a tornado warning that maybe we had to go on the air for?
I was telling you this. I went on air for that tornado warning. I broke into our coverage, and I was like, guys, it's been a while since we have done this. It's been a while since we have a tornado. We haven't had a tornado since, well, I don't know. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
I was trying to think, and I'm like, did we have one in the fall? I don't know if we did. Did we have one in the summer? I don't know if we did.
There was a Saturday that you were working. I came in, and I don't know that there was a warning. There had been, I think, maybe warnings coming into the viewing area. Yeah. Maybe there was a tornado warning. It doesn't matter. I think that was back in October. It was a Saturday. You and I did some coverage online, I know.
Yes.
So
I think there was no warning, but we were like, all right, this could be a day that we see a tornado, and we just haven't. It's been very quiet. But the tornado that happened on Thursday brings flashbacks to a January tornado that we've had in the past.
Yeah.
Winter tornadoes aren't rare. And in fact, we pulled up data from January 7th, 2008. That was a massive tornado outbreak. There's probably, as I say that, some people are remembering what happened, where that was 33 tornadoes on January 7th, 2008, 18 years ago, touchdown in the Ozark area. I have video on that. Gary, if you can start to pull that up.
We did a lot of praying the whole time, and we've been blessed. We've got blessings with friends, and we're here.
You've got a crew out here today.
Got a crew, and we're okay, and that's all we can ask for. We can rebuild the house, but we're okay.
33 tornadoes confirmed
At least,
that day.
yeah.
2 EF3s, I believe. Just a handful of.
I think that may have been our biggest January tornado outbreak on record.
I don't know what would
and
top
I
it.
think it's one of our bigger tornado outbreaks. Period.
Gary, can you pull up that web of all the tornadoes, and we'll kind of talk about that real quickly. Winter tornadoes aren't. They happen. Of course,
they can happen.
Of course, springtime is the time that you really expect these tornadoes to go off. But the Quad State tornado, that was an infamous tornado for being an EF4 that went across
December.
4 different states.
Was that December of 21?
That was December of 21. So you can get these big tornado events. This is what happened back in 2008. You can see that EF1 in the middle of Springfield. That is what tore up Harry Cooper's supply. Some people may remember that. It makes me so mad when you talk to people in Springfield and they go, we don't get tornadoes in Springfield. It's impossible to get tornadoes in Springfield. We never get tornadoes in Springfield.
There have been some very famous, relatively long track tornadoes that have just, by the grace of God, lifted before moving into the south side of Springfield.
Even just April 29th, where there was a tornado just north of Springfield. Springfield just got straight line winds. That was a chance where we missed out on a Wakelow tornado as well. Gary, pull that up one more time for me. I want to kind of dig into this, where 2 EF3 tornadoes, one of the largest ones was just to the northeast of Springfield, went across Marshfield, went into Leclerc County. That is one long track EF3 tornado. This was something that produced fatalities. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but it was really just a long I-44 to the south of I-44.
And what's interesting,
outbreak.
I think what's interesting about, so first off, some facts around that tornado outbreak. There's actually a slew of record highs that were reached the day prior to the outbreak. So the outbreak started on January 7th, and then it spilled over into January the 8th.
Okay.
I think it was January the 6th that there were, I think all of the reporting sites in our area had record highs in the 70s. So this time of the year, if you've lived here, you know that if you get into a warm spell, you better watch out on the back end of it, because that's when you can get severe weather. And of course, we had a little bit on Thursday, that threat. But yeah, back in 2008. What's interesting also is looking at that, just the plot of all the tornado tracks. When you look at that, what does that tell you, Matt? What do you see there?
Well, most of them seem to fall along one line. It looks like they seem to line up right where I-44 would be, and then you have some smaller ones that were down into the south, and that line kind of broken at times. So that makes me believe that it had circulation tighten, then loosen, then tighten, then loosen, then tighten. So it produced and then lifted. So you produced and lifted.
Yeah. So you had a train of supercell thunderstorms moving up a corridor that was along I-44. So what happened on that day is that there was a frontal boundary.
Yep, that kept the north pretty quiet.
Yeah, that had pushed in
south
and settled into that area. And that frontal boundary, that's anytime you're looking for the risk of tornadoes, you look for boundaries, because boundaries are going to be focal points for tornado production with thunderstorms. So you had that focal point along I-44, and these supercells were developing and training up along that boundary, generating tornadoes. And that's why you had this very focused corridor of tornadoes. Now, the other thing you take away is that it's along I-44, and there is a myth that that the interstate attracts tornadoes, and the myth is that because of nuclear testing and some of the nuclear fallout getting
you got tinfoil?
getting used in the asphalt that makes up I-44 is the reason why you have such a focus for tornadoes. That is not why. But there is a reason why there could be, at times, not always, but at times, a focus along I-44 in our area. And the reason is the plateau. Yeah. I-44 runs along the length of the plateau in our area. And that plateau is a high point. So north of the plateau, elevations fall off. South of the plateau, elevations fall off.
Yep.
And when you have cold, low-level air mass building in from the north, right? The density of that cold air is going to want to hug the surface, right? and it will bank up against higher elevation areas, and before it can spill over that higher elevation, it will stall. So you'll get a favored spot for a boundary on the north side of that plateau. The same thing happens. I do believe that there are corridors, tornado corridors in Arkansas for the same reason. Gulf moisture, as it moves north across southern Arkansas, it moves north unimpeded. If you've ever driven in South Arkansas, I mean that is the flatlands of Arkansas. But once you get to Little Rock, the elevation quickly goes up.
Ozark Mountains again, and then
right. So you have a natural topographic boundary right there. So as Gulf moisture moves north, it hits that elevation, and it kind of accumulates right there before it moves over the top of that elevation. So a lot of times you will get a boundary in that area, and you can get a tornado corridor right there on the southern edge of that higher elevation in Arkansas.
My favorite stat about tornadoes, and this is something that I don't think a lot of people who aren't Americans understand this, 90% of all tornadoes in the world happen in Tornado Alley. 90%. And so I know some people argue, should this state be in Tornado Alley? Should this state be in Tornado Alley or not? Let's just word it to central United States. 90% of all tornadoes in the world happen right there. Because tornadoes, they need the ideal topography, they need the ideal geography settings where you have to have the warm air that comes off the Gulf and the cold air that comes in from the north.
And dry air coming off of the higher elevation areas of the Southwest and northern Mexico.
So many things to line up to get these tornadoes that it happens in exact locations. It's the reason why Oklahoma always gets hammered, and there's a reason why most of these storms seem to break down by the time they cross the state line, but that's not always the case.
The other side of that, too, is that tornadoes can occur at any time of the year as long as the ingredients for tornado formation are in place. They're not restricted to certain seasons. It's, if you have the ingredients there, they can happen. And if you have those ingredients in other parts of the world, they can happen there too. It's just the ingredients tend to line up here in the middle of the country during certain times of the year more often.
We're the lucky ones. We are the lucky ones that see that all the chaos of that. Let's answer the other question I mentioned earlier. A lot of people are wondering, hey, weatherman, when we going to get snow? Hey, weatherman, when is it going to be cold? Am I ever going to see a snowflake again? Is it ever happening again?
Look into your crystal ball.
We're going to look into the crystal ball. We're going to take a Doppler dive, and we're going to answer the talk about some snow chances coming our way.
Doppler dive.
The answer is no, you're never seeing snow again. We're done. Forever.
It kind of feels that way, I mean, I don't think we've had a snowflake.
We had it December 1st.
I think the last widespread round of snow in the air was December 1st. So we've made it almost halfway through meteorological winter, and that's really the only winter weather event.
It's also been a warm winter. Gary, if you can, let's pull up those records. Let's talk about kind of the winter pace that we're on, because
the winter that wasn't.
The winter that wasn't. The winter pause, the blowtorch of the Christmas that we had. Don't worry, we'll get that in just a second. But
the holiday heat wave.
The holiday heat wave that brought...
The holiday heat wave part 2.
70 and 70 and 70 and 70 and 70. And then later on, we had temperatures that got a little bit colder.
Man,
this week, and it was 60 and 60 and 60.
I think in our last Two Dudes in a Doppler, we talked about that. Just how incredible that round of heat around Christmas was. That, I believe, again, is a once-in-a-lifetime. We've not recorded anything like that in our area before. There were, we had 5 consecutive days where we had record highs in Springfield, 6 consecutive days of 70-degree plus temperatures. You had mentioned this, I think, last go-around, and I actually saw this. Harrison, Arkansas, toward the end of the heat wave, I think, hit 85 degrees. 85. I think it was their all-time high in December. That's incredible. At the end of December to hit 85 degrees.
It's been hot.
It's been warm,
so people know it's been hot. I'm expecting a change. Right now, I think we're on pace for the 3rd warmest winter that has ever been set. That's going to start to cool in. Gary, on the web, if you could kind of pull up the forecast, go to the web and then pull up the forecast for that, because there is a sign of some hope. And I think winter isn't over.
Right. And
we've been blessed with all this warmth.
Yeah.
Here's the 8 to 14 day outlook. This is by NOAA, the National Weather Service. They put this out, not us, but they're very good at their job, and I tend to agree with what they say. And they say, hey, I think this week you're going to be warm, but wait a week, and we're going to have a shot of cold air. And then Gary flashed over to the outlook of January, which is putting us, hey, I don't think it's going to be above average. I don't think it's going to be below average. We're getting back to where winter's supposed to be.
So far, with the warmth that we've had already in January, and we set record highs in West Plains and Harrison back on Tuesday. So we've had another record-setting round of warmth.
Yeah.
Just not quite as extreme as what we had in late December. Temperatures are running about 10 degrees above normal for January. But we can quickly flip that. I mean, we're only a week in. We can quickly flip that with a more consistently cold pattern, especially if we get some frigid days in there. Are we going to see that? Well, it looks like there is going to be a pattern shift around the middle of the month. In fact, it looks like the round of storms that we had on Thursday was kind of the switch that will change up the pattern so that a trough is favored in the eastern half to eastern two-thirds of the nation. The other factor that has been showing up is what we call blocking. This is where you have a ridge of high pressure in the atmosphere that will persist in an area. Or it could be a low that persists in an area. And right now it looks like we're going to get some blocking or ridging over Greenland that will persist, and a ridge up into Alaska that will persist. And what that causes to happen is Arctic air to build across Canada. And it's not allowed to just flow out into the Atlantic and dissipate. So it builds and it gets colder and it gets colder. And then it starts to force its way south because it can't go east.
Yeah, let's go
so
somewhere.
it starts to force its way south. So I think that the setup is there for us to start getting into more frigid bouts of weather once we get to the middle of the month and beyond, at least for maybe a couple of weeks.
And Gary, if you can, pull up that forecast for January, because it's to get snow, you need two things. You need cold temperatures, and then you have to have an active storm track of some moisture. And this right here, the other one for me, go to January. This one is basically saying, hey, we think that ridge of warmth is going to be in the desert southwest. We think the cold is going to be further off into the east. This pattern, if it starts to set up on the back half of the month, will allow some snow tracks to form. So in summary, I still think we have chances of snow, especially end of January, start of February. Kids,
I think
you may get some snow days.
For me, there's two ways that we can get winter weather. With the pattern that we're kind of looking at going into next week, and I don't really see snow. But you could have clippers. Like it's kind of a dry pattern, but you could still have clippers that drop in from the northwest and then southeast across here, and they could generate snow. That's one way that we could see some winter weather. What I think I would prefer to see is the trough starting to back retrograde more toward the west, toward the southwestern U.S. Then that gets us into a more favorable pattern where Gulf moisture is in play and the cold is also in place, and we could get some winter weather.
I'm ready for some cold. I'm ready for that change in the pattern. And you know what? I tell you what, Jamie, first time that we get snow, we're going to have a two dudes in a Doppler, terrible tie, snowball fight.
I'm
Loser
ready. Let's
has
do it.
to wear that tie on air. But that is going to be the kind of forecast. That's going to be the episode for this week. Come back next week. Have a little bit of fun with us. Hopefully we get some colder weather that's finally going to return. Thanks for watching, guys.
See you then.